Hi, I'm Susan Bishel with the City of Wheaton. Here with me today is David Gervino with the DuPage County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. He is here to talk with us about cybersecurity. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this is a really big topic. There are so many things involved with it, and the internet is in almost everyone's life. Can you start and talk about what are some of the major areas of concern when it comes to cyber safety?
Absolutely. So cybersecurity is really a growing field in terms of something that we're concerned about in emergency management. In fact, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency each year comes out with a different preparedness theme for each month of the year. And this is the first year, I believe, that cybersecurity or cyber safety has been one of the monthly themes. And it's the theme for this month in October. And so when we talk about cybersecurity, cyber safety, we talk about things in terms of protecting your children online from predators, protecting yourself and your family members from identity theft, and all sorts of other things in terms of cell phone apps, which are able to sometimes compromise sensitive information, using social media securely, and things of that nature.
Okay. Let's talk about one of the more obvious ways is protecting your personal information online. Can you talk about what are some of the things you should do to protect your personal information?
Sure. So you want to be careful and be aware of what are called phishing scams, and that's phishing, Phishing. Phishing refers to emails where people are trying to get you to relay or provide your personal information. This is often done under the guise of an email that's from a bank. You'll get an email that you think is from your bank, but it's really not. It's from someone who's trying to get you to compromise your information. So it may have the logo from your bank. It may have the FDIC disclaimer that you would normally see on an official email from your bank, and then it'll have a link and say, please click this link to verify your account information, or something of that nature. Oftentimes, there's some element of fear that they try to inject in this email to get you to act quickly and to be scared. So it might say your account information has been compromised. Please click this link immediately. It's trying to get you to panic, so you're not taking the time to think, well, wait, this doesn't seem legitimate. And so what we encourage people to do when they receive an email that they believe to be from their bank is not to click the link, but open your browser and go directly to your bank's secure website by typing in the link.
Right, and there would probably be a phone number for your bank as well, that if you wanted to talk to someone in the 800 number or whatever on your bank's website.
Exactly. Go directly to your bank's website or call the customer service for your bank to ask them if they sent that email. Your bank should never have to ask you your account number or your password because they know that information. You want to be really, really careful of that. And you want to make sure that when you're logging in to what you believe to be a secure site, that it is a secure site. One of the ways to do that is to look in the address bar. And normally at the beginning of an internet address, you'll see HTTP. Well, a secure site should have HTTPS. And that S lets you know that it's secure. In some browsers, you'll see the image of a padlock. And that lets you know that you're going to a secure site.
Okay, so just double checking whatever you think might be a legitimate email. In fact, might not be. I would think that most banks would not be asking for personal information because they already have it.
Exactly. And sometimes these emails are sent from people overseas who don't have a great command of the English language, so you'll know right off in some cases that, wow, this is really poor grammar. I think my bank would probably proofread an email before they'd send it to me. But in other cases, we've seen some emails that look pretty authentic. They're using the bank's logo and they're worded very eloquently. And so that's why it's important, instead of just clicking the link, just go online directly to your bank's website and access the site that way. Okay,
so some red flags or bad grammar or things that might not look quite right if it's directing you to another website, asking you for things that really they shouldn't be asking you for.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, we just received a bulletin recently from the FBI about a scam where there's a virus that attacks computers, and it will cause your browser to lock up and say, FBI warning, you're in violation of, some type of federal act. Please click this link to pay a fine online or something, which, of course, that's not a legitimate email, but a lot of people panic and they see that FBI logo that someone is misrepresenting, and people have actually paid. So, so you want to be cautious, and, when in doubt, check it out.
Okay. Are there other email scams that are similar if it's not just from your bank, if it's Can you think of any other common scams?
Sure. So there's things from other like payment sites, such as PayPal, for example. Similarly, saying your account information has been compromised. Please, click this link to update your account.
Okay.
There are other scams about I won $1 million, but I need to transfer it to you and contact me so that you can hold it for me. And by doing this, I'll give you a cut of it. Stuff like that. And it really plays on people's greed. In general, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah. Right. Okay, now let's talk about file sharing sites and some places where you think you can get great content or share great content. How do you know if what you're downloading is legitimate or is safe?
Yeah, so you want to be really careful and be leery of file sharing sites. You want to certainly be aware of software piracy and make sure that you're downloading that it's freeware, that it's from a reputable site. I would encourage people to go to a reputable sites such as like CNET or some nationally known organization that you're familiar with, and go to links from there as opposed to just searching for something and clicking a link and downloading from like peer-to-peer networking, because that a lot of that peer-to-peer networking, they do have programs that are just laden with viruses, and you're downloading a file along with a bunch of other stuff that you don't even realize you're downloading. Okay. And so yeah, be real leery of peer-to-peer sites, and also do the right thing. Don't succumb to the temptation to get something for free that you should pay for. People, software developers, they're everyday people like you and me, and so they have families to feed, and they put a lot of work into developing their products. And the same thing with the music industry, the film industry. It's comprised of everyday people like you and me, photographers, video editors, things like that. And when you undermine that whole system, you're taking money away from the people who worked to provide their craft.
Even if you're going to a reputable paid site, you know that it's most likely safe content.
Exactly.
They're providing that safety as well.
Right.
Okay, what about online shopping? What are some things to look out for if there's a website that you don't know too much about, but you like what they're displaying or what you'd like to buy? How do you know whether a site is legit or not?
Yeah, again, I would stick with some of the bigger, more commonly known sites and use those. Make sure that if you are providing your payment information online, that you do see that HTTPS in the address bar or that image of the padlock, that's a secure site. But I would be somewhat leery of purchasing materials from websites if you're not familiar with that site, if you haven't heard of it before, or if no one that you know has purchased from it. And then sometimes you can also just conduct a Google search regarding that site, and you'll see in the comments there, people will rate that in blog postings and things and say, no, don't use this site. It's got they're out to obtain your credit card information, and they're not going to send you the product and things of that nature. Okay.
Would the Better Business Bureau be a resource you could check out a company?
Yeah, that's definitely one place where you could check to see other people's feedback and comments.
Okay. Great. Now, are there any people that you would say are especially at-risk groups for online scams and just online activity and safety?
I think definitely the younger children and things of that nature who are often don't have the life experience to teach them to be a little bit careful. And then also some older adults who maybe aren't as familiar with the internet or internet security, internet safety, that type of thing. So that's why I think it's really important that just like with any type of emergency preparedness, that we share what we know with our family and help them as well. Okay, and maybe for older adults, if you're not quite sure, check it out. Have someone help you check it out. Absolutely, yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, let's talk about kids specifically. What are some things that families can do to make sure their children are safe online? Yeah, kids, I think because kids in the current generation grew up with all this technology. I grew up around computers, but social media and things of that nature are, relatively new. And I can remember before, I was using all that stuff, even though now I do use that on a daily basis. But I think it's such a part of children's lives now that often they don't stop to think about the difference between, face-to-face communication and social media. And I think that that social media and online sites and blog postings and things of that nature, it provides sometimes a false sense of anonymity. You know, a lot of times kids will upload pictures and they'll say things. You know, cyberbullying is a big issue these days because it's not as difficult to just type something mean and then hit enter and then go about your business as it is to go up to someone and say something that seems more aggressive. But they still have, you know, the same negative effects either way. And so I think encouraging kids to realize that there really is not anonymity on the internet. You know, sure, there are privacy settings on the social media outlets, but social media outlets are constantly changing the privacy settings. So what you thought was, you know, only visible to your friends today, tomorrow could be totally different. Similarly, you know, you may turn off the geotagging, geocoding feature of your cell phone, so when you take a picture and share it, it strips out the GPS coordinates and stuff like that.
Okay.
But then maybe when you turn your phone off or the battery dies, you turn it back on, it resets to the default settings and that's back enabled. So I think a lot of people, and you know, think of all the political officials we've seen nationally who've been victims of different scandals where they took pictures and thought no one else would see them, and then you know, next thing you know, it's on all these websites. So even adults who should definitely know better, you know, fall victim to things. So with children, we need to even emphasize even greater, I think, that the fact that you may think things are anonymous, but they're not. And you know, you may use these different programs where you think that you share a picture and it disappears after a few seconds, but no, that picture's still out there. People can still discover that, and really encourage kids to practice internet safety, to take precautions. Some families, you know, they'll have rules for their children where technology is not allowed in the bedroom. You know, if you need to make a phone call or if you need to use the internet for school or to send emails to your friends, that's fine. But why can't you do that from the kitchen table? Why can't you do that from the TV room with everyone else?
Right.
You know, what are you talking about that's, you know, you can't talk about in front of other people? And you know, I think it depends on the level of maturity of the children and things of that nature. But that's something to consider. You know, growing up when I had a cell phone in high school, it was just a regular flip phone, and it was just, you could make a phone call or send text messages. But now that with smartphones, there are many computers. So you have to watch over those the same way that you do computers, because they're capable of video chatting and social media and all those types of things. So parents should be aware of that as well.
Okay, accessing pretty much anything on the internet, depending on the type of phone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in terms of cyberbullying, what are some things that parents should watch out for? Do you know some red flags or things that parents could be aware of if they think something might be going on?
Yeah, I think that parents should talk to their children to begin with about cyberbullying, both in terms of being victimized by it and being an aggressor, and talk about the importance of cyberbullying awareness and what it does to people, the effects it's had. Talk about, you know, that the fact that it has led to suicides, it's led to people, you know, hurting themselves and things of that nature. It's also led to people becoming aggressive and going to school and you know, implementing violent attacks and things of that nature. Letting your kid know that you know that it's not acceptable to you know, that things are just as hurtful if you're writing it from the comfort of your home as they are if you're saying it to someone's face, and also making your child feel comfortable with talking to you if they are a victim of cyberbullying. And look for warning signs. So if your child becomes suddenly withdrawn or very quiet, things of that nature, you know, talk to them and consider that might be a possibility, that maybe they are experiencing cyberbullying, because it is a very real thing, and it affects a lot of kids.
And it can have legal consequences as well.
It sure can.
Okay. One thing that I talked with you about, cell phone apps. That's one area of security I hadn't really thought about. Can you talk about what are some vulnerabilities that we should be aware of, both for kids and for adults?
Sure. So, you know, I think we've done a pretty good job as a society in promoting the importance of computer safety and having, you know, virus protection on your computers. But cell phones and smartphones, they develop so quickly, a lot of people don't realize that, like we mentioned earlier, that those are mini computers. And just like your identity can be compromised over a PC or a Mac, so it can be compromised via your smartphone as well. So, you know, there are different virus protection programs that you can put on your cell phone. You should be aware that if you know, leave your cell phone unattended, that someone can grab it and they can download malicious applications that will track you, that can record your conversations, that can record your text messages, things of that nature. They can download an app for that. Then there's another app that they can download that allows them to hide apps. So you won't even know this is on your phone. You know, maybe you'll notice your battery's draining quicker than normal or that kind of thing. And, you know, when you download an application, ask, what's in it for the developer of this application? Why did they develop this? In some cases, maybe it's directly from your bank, and they do it as a service, thinking that, because they have this great cell phone app, you're more likely to continue banking with them. In other cases, the app may be advertising based. So, I have an app on my phone where I can see movie times, and when I first go into it, it shows an ad or something, and the app developer is being paid for that. But if it's a free app, you really need to think about, well, what's in it for them? A lot goes into, a lot of time and money goes into developing a cell phone app. And so why would someone be making this? And when you go to download the app, look at the list of permissions that you have to accept before you download the app. And ask yourself, well, this app, is supposed to do this, but then why is it asking to have access to all of my call logs and to all of my contact information? Why would it need that?
Yeah, that's good advice. And what are some other things that cell phone apps you should look out for? Can they possibly gain access to personal information? Or?
Absolutely, and that's something that you should see in the permissions when you download the app. And yeah, because a lot of them are able to read your contact logs. A lot of them are able to track activity. They may use your GPS if you have that enabled. And so, again, when you download an app, you want to find out where it's from. Like just the other day, I was looking and I searched for my bank's name in an app store, and a couple of apps came up that were published by my bank, and then there were some apps with my bank's name that were from companies I've never heard of. Now, it could be legitimate. It could be that the bank has hired this third-party developer to develop an app for them, or it could be some type of malicious app. So you want to be really, really careful, because new apps are being developed all the time, and it's really tough to keep up with what's legitimate and what's not. Okay,
so look really carefully before you download and agree to whatever terms that they're wanting you to agree to.
Yes.
Okay, very informative. Well, is there anything else you think should be a takeaway for people when it comes to cyber safety?
Well, we want to definitely also protect ourselves from identity theft, which that can happen not only over the computer when you're entering your credit card number, but when you're at the store, when you're at a gas station, there's all sorts of skimming devices for credit cards that pick up those numbers and stuff. I encourage most of my friends, all of my friends, to pay cash whenever possible. The less time you hand your credit card to someone or you use it somewhere, the less opportunities there are for someone to take that information. And it just takes a minute for a dishonest person to swipe that information, and they can give you your card back, but if they have your information, they can use that for online purchases and all sorts of things. And especially coming up within the next few months to the holidays, a lot of people are using credit cards more. There's, my experience, the majority of people, especially here in DuPage County and here in Wheaton, are good and decent people. But unfortunately, there are some people who are not. And, every year, a lot of stores hire a bunch of seasonal employees all at once. And again, the majority of them are people who want to make extra money, and they're good people, and they're just there to make some extra money for the holidays and that type of thing. But there are some people who purposely get seasonal jobs thinking that, I'll just be rushed through a background check. It's not going to be very thorough. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get as much credit card information as I can, so then I can then turn and sell that. So really be careful. If at all possible, use cash for purchases. Then you don't have to worry as much about your credit card information being compromised.
Great. Well, I think this has been really informative. One more thing I'm going to talk about. If you think that you've been a victim of any of these things that have happened, if you think your credit card number has been stolen, if you think your child is the target of cyberbullying or any of these things, where should you turn? I encourage you to contact your local police department. Keep in mind, in some cases, especially with some of the scams that are from overseas, it can be extremely difficult to prosecute these crimes. So that's why it's really important that you be vigilant and hopefully not fall victim to them to begin with. But work through your local police department. If it's something with your children, we encourage you to work with the school counselors and talk with them. Well, I really appreciate you providing all of this information that really affects everyone. My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Hi,
I'm David Gervino with the DuPage County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. October is Cyber Safety Awareness Month, and our agency encourages you to take steps to be prepared. For specific information about how you can protect yourself and your family from cyber threats, please visit us online at protectdupage.org.